let's go ahead and get talking. So let's start with Kyle. Kyle, how did you feel about the draft? Your picks, what you were trying to do with your picks, and how close you got to what you were going for.
All right, so I started off taking like relievers because coming into this, I figured they would go immediately because there's a significant less amount of them than hitters. So I took Kenley and I took 85 Chapman in like the first 3 rounds to try to like get some decent arms, but I honestly didn't take like another bullpen piece till like the 15th round, so I really didn't follow through on that. It surprised me. They went by really quick. Like there was maybe like, I don't know, 2 or 3 rounds where everyone took a lefty, and then they were practically just down to bronzes.
Yeah, you got that. I remember you saying in one of the in the chat, I believe, that someone was talking about like 93 Chapman, and then you were saying something about or 97 Chapman. You said right away 85 Chapman will probably be just as good.
Yeah, that's what I wanted out of that pick.
Not bad. How about you guys? Did you guys get relievers early, or was that a focus going into it?
So I got Rob Dibble second, so that was my second round draft pick. So I'm like right away, I'm like, man, I know I need to get relievers because I know how custom leagues play. But
yeah,
and I picked Mariano the first round, and I was like later in the draft. I was like the 21st pick, so like I knew like a lot of the best starters and the best outfielders were going to be taken. So I was like, if I'm going to take anything, I'm going to take my best reliever, which is Mariano. So took him and put him on the squad because I had a feeling, because I think a few picks earlier, I think, Kyle took Kenley Jansen. So I was like, okay, I think people are going to start taking relievers now. So I'm just going to take Mariano right away. And I'm definitely happy with that decision.
It's interesting. I just noticed this for the group that we have in here right now. We were all within 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 picks of each other.
Oh.
So it went me and then Kyle, and then we had Grazer, and then Ray, Gravy, and then we had Scuffy, and then Scan right there. So we were all kind of clumped up.
Yeah.
And maybe that would mean our little group right here is a little different than the expectations of someone who was drafting in the first 2, 3, 4 picks. So we might all be kind of like in the same mentality compared to maybe some people that aren't in this group right here. So that's just a little interesting tidbit.
For me, I didn't take a reliever until the 10th round. And I really just thought it would be most important for me to get hitters that I was comfortable with. But after playing my first game, I'm not sure it really mattered. So I don't know how I feel about it right now.
In your first game, so we're recording this on Tuesday. This is opening day that we are recording this. Gravy's got 1 game or 2 games in? 1 game in. So you were just mentioning you're not sure how you felt about relievers, but was it that like the 2 diamond relievers that you picked up, were they good and then like the golds and silvers imploded? Or was it a matter of just like everybody's just hitting everything because it's like All-Star Plus?
Yeah, I think it's kind of like All-Star Plus. That's how it kind of felt. I mean, it just felt like even if I was executing a solid pitch, it was still kind of bleeding a little bit more over the middle than I wanted to. And I just don't know yet if that's because of the lower overalls or if that's because it's All-Star Plus. I just don't know yet.
Okay, so you're even feeling like the command was a little off too.
Definitely.
Interesting.
Also, I think an interesting question to ask you is, who did you play for that first game? Because that might be a factor as well.
Yeah, I played St. Louis, who was Patty Boy? Yeah, Patty Boy.
Okay.
And he hit pretty hard.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I was watching some of the games, and like honestly, like it's I think custom leagues definitely is easier to hit, but I was watching a game at Wrigley, and it seemed very reasonable with the hitting. It didn't seem like it was like out of hand like it is sometimes at some of the minor league parts. I don't know if it's just how Wrigley Field played, but there was nothing really weird or crazy that went down, like weird homers or anything like that. It seemed very like normal from looking at it. So I'm curious how that's gonna go about the rest of the league and based on the stadiums that people chose.
Yeah, I know a lot of people have different experiences with customs. Early in the year for me, I was a little concerned about the fielding. For some reason, I think when they patched fielding at one point, they like talked about it in DD or like online mode versus offline mode. And for some reason, it seemed like everything was on ice skates when I played in custom leagues back in the beginning of the year. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but the gameplay definitely, of course, is feeling pretty different.
Yeah, there's definitely some weird feel. There was a time where I remember like when you got to the warning track that they would just literally not lock on the balls. And I guess I don't remember exactly when that was, but that was a huge problem. Either like it was custom leagues and just straight up DD. Like that was just like a huge problem. But I mean, I guess it still happens a little bit, but yeah, fielding was definitely a problem for
sure. So let me talk about my draft real quick. We'll get to some more about other drafts as well. But this was my plan. So I think this is different than what most people came up with. And I think at one point, like a couple days before the draft, I think Spore went into the Discord and he said, this is how many of each kind of card is available. So like 95 to 99, whatever it was, 90 to 94, things like that. He said there's like 290 of these, 100 of these, blah, 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 50 of these, whatever. And I was concerned because that's what I looked at before I went into my draft board. I went in and for at least like the high end and like some of the hitter diamonds, I went in and I saw that there were a very few number of 90 to 94s that were available and a very few number that I liked. There were probably like 5 or 10 on my board that I actually would have wanted drafted. And yeah, the 90 to 99 or the 95 to 99s, I felt like for the most part, I could pick up whoever I wanted and probably hit with them. I know Kreiner, like we were just talking about before we got on the video, Kreiner was taking silver after gold after, silver more than he needed to, but that was kind of his mentality that he could hit with anybody. So he's just going to get, the glitchy guys, the low end that he needed to get. I didn't quite go as far as silvers and golds, but my second pick was Teoscar Hernandez, 94. And then I took a gold relief pitcher. Wasn't really the plan at first. I was going to take him like 5th or something. But I saw some other cards get off the board early. And I ended up taking 299s in my last 2 picks, or 95 pluses. Tim Anderson, Brandon Lau. Tim Anderson actually wasn't one of my first choices, but Brandon Lau I absolutely am interested in and happy that I picked up. But I felt like throughout the draft, I was like 2 or 3 picks ahead of everybody else. It felt like I was sniping a lot more people than they were sniping me, which is exactly what I was trying to go for. So I know Gravy and I were having a couple discussions like during the draft, and he was like putting little emojis on my picks. So I think he wanted some of those guys for sure.
Yeah, I saw what you were doing, and yeah, it was a good play. I almost wish to some degree you could trade out. Like there are some lower end under 95 cards that I feel like can even play better than a 99. And at some point, I kind of wish I could drop a 99 and pick up a sneaky, 92 to 95 player. But it is what it is. I just got a quick question. So for everyone who saw this draft, like who do you think had the best overall draft?
It's a tough one. Like it might sound weird, but I feel like I had the best one for my own sake. I feel like a lot of us can say that about ourselves. I feel like a lot of us can be like, oh, I'm happy with how I drafted, so I'm gonna say I have the best draft.
No, that's fair.
Did you get?
Because we all know who we hit the best with and all that more than anyone else. So
that's true.
Is everyone on your team from your board? Was there anybody that you took that you didn't want to have taken? Maybe some of the relief pitchers. I would assume that Ryan Brookie wasn't at the top of the list. But
I was honestly with my draft plan was mostly just kind of like vibing with what everyone else was doing. Because like I knew like I was at a later pick, and a lot of times I was sitting inactive for a long time because like I was in the back end of it. So basically, like what I was just kind of vibing with everyone else. So like I had some players in mind that I know like I hit really well with, but not as many people do as well with. So I just had like a mental list in my head of players I was gonna go for, and like for example, I was going for like some boosted cards that maybe don't have as good defense, just have really good hitting attributes, and just go all offense. So like went for guys like Mark Hanna, Jesse Winker on the team that I know I hit really well with, and they are they aren't that high priority because they don't have great defense. And a lot of times people are going for high 90s players who are good hitters and like good defenders too. Like a lot of the outfielders went right away. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to look for guys that, maybe aren't as popular that I know I hit well with. I just for basically every pick, I stuck to what I wanted. Other than the pitching, I would say. Other than Mariano, I felt like I had to expand my interest for pitching a lot more than normal.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm interested to see how it goes. I think I got a lot of good glitchy guys, but I definitely was late on the reliever train with the draft. That's for sure.
RayCheesy definitely took. I wanted Lindor actually, and I had never used Honus. So yeah, I went into this. Yeah, I never even used the card. I mean, now thankfully in his first game he did pretty well, but it was just like, okay, got to change that on. I just didn't think Lindor was going to go that. I just didn't think you were going to do that, and it really threw me because I knew I wasn't going to get Tatis Jr. or anything, but I wanted a shortstop first pick because for me, my draft strategy was. Shortstop, center field, and then start filling in the holes from there. And so I tried to go that route, but I felt like I got sniped quite a bit, to be honest.
Oh, that's the exact same mindset I have. I wanted to get a good shortstop that was good at hitting and great at fielding, and just the same thing with center fielder. Like those two were my big things. Were like I want to make sure I have really good fielding, but also cards that I hit really well with. I didn't mean to snipe him from you. That honestly, he wasn't in my plan. He wasn't my plan to get him, but it just like it kind of like all of like having the 18th pick is just like tough, because like, and obviously like even after that, and not having the first 10 picks of like, yeah, I know that I'm gonna get Mike Trout or freaking Cody Bellinger, those guys right away, and like it kind of fell down to me, and I was like, well, I hit pretty good with him. He's got good defense, so like I knew that. Once he fell down to me, I was like, I gotta take it.
You also took Eric Davis, and it really hurt me because I had already had Bellinger and Buxton, and I really wanted a Buxton, Bellinger, Davis outfield. And when he went right before, I was like,
he wasn't my plan either. Like I was just looking at like who's left center fielder wise, and like he was the best pick out of. I don't remember. I had it written down somewhere, but like. Literally, it was like him, and then it was I don't remember what the other one was, but
that card's good, man.
Yeah, I know.
It's a good card,
right? And like I destroyed the silver card. So I mean, I've only used his 98, like not a ton, but I've used it enough. Like I feel comfortable at least taking him in the fourth round because if you're taking somebody that high, you want to make sure you do well with them because you don't want that to be a wasted pick.
I do want to ask a couple questions about individual picks that you guys had, but really quick. I have one thing about my team, and then I want to ask Kyle a question real quick too. So for my team, you guys mentioned center field and shortstop, right, as like priorities. So you guys notice I got 99 Anderson at the end, right? Who I'm sure like people like didn't really want him. Like he's kind of a platoony guy, solid defense, but in my opinion, like I hit really well with him against righty, so I'm fine with it. I'm fine with the 99 pick there. But what I noticed is, okay, so I got my draft list on my screen right now. You guys can't see it, but the deepest position that I had was shortstop. I have 15 guys that I would have been happy to pick, which compared to other, like I thought center field was a little top heavy, so I did pick Acuna first. But that was one of the positions where the face of the franchise cards at the beginning of the year, I loved using Correa, Tatis, Mondesi. Torres. All three of those guys were in my lineup at the same time at the beginning of the year. So I've been happy to pick those. So that's where that was another thing that I was trying to get an edge on people because I knew people wanted shortstops early. I was going to try to sneak 88 Tatis, but he went like third round to Limsall.
Mm-hmm.
Limsall had a good draft, which I want to talk about later too. Some nice sneaky picks in there. But that was one thing that I noticed that I was able to sneak a shortstop that I thought other people would do too, but luckily they didn't.
And it's crazy how you called Tim Anderson a platoon player, but like, I mean, it's a really good ass card.
Yeah. It's like 79 power against righties, which it's good, but like next to the 125s that he's got, it looks a lot lower. Kyle, what did I want to see here? One card that I wanted to talk about for your draft was Robbie Alomar.
Yeah.
You got in the 9th round. How did that happen? What was your plan for that card? And was there somebody else that you were kind of eyeing before that, but realized that Alomar was going to be there?
I mean, Hornsby wouldn't have been the ideal, but he's like everyone's second baseman, so he got taken quick by Thuney. And I I noticed a lot of these BR cards were going kind of quick. Like I think I saw Scuffy take Feller. Someone else took like JD, I believe, or I don't know. A lot of those 12-0s were going, so I figured I wanted to get one myself. And I didn't really see a lot of other second basemen that I liked. I mean, there's like LeMahieu, but I don't know. There's him, there's Morgan, Sandberg, but nah. He's my candidate. I've used him before, and I don't know. A switch hitting guy that can field, I'm all for it.
For sure. That was another guy that I thought, like, I picked Lauer at the end. I thought possibly Alomar would be a guy like Tim Anderson that would fall to the end just because he's a BR card. And second base, I guess, is a little thinner. So obviously he's going to get picked. But I thought for a second it might fall to the end there.
Those 12-0 cards, that's where I was like really excited. I mean, I know, a decent amount of people that played here, but like I wasn't sure how many people would actually have those cards. So that was like another thing that like I played into it that like, I mean, because I took Casey Mize third, and like, I don't know. I mean, that might have been a little bit too early or whatnot, but I wasn't sure. Like, I know it's tough because I saw Chipper Jones go first, and I was thinking about maybe taking him the next round that came back because I wasn't sure how many people would have him. And those 12-0 cards were always like, I was like really iffy, and I didn't really think about that until the draft actually happened. Like, damn, there's only so many of these cards that people probably have just because they have to go 12-0. Can't really buy them. So that was one thing I was like, oh. I should have paid a little more attention to.
Were there any 12-0 cards that are like really good that didn't go? I think 99 Johnny Bench did go. I don't think we saw Gary Carter, but I don't think anybody was really. I actually mid draft I put in a buy order for Gary Carter because I
have him. I was like I never used him yet. I actually, that was my last 12-0. I got him and I just never used him. So I was like, I don't want to use him at catcher. I've never used him before. Just I don't know.
I've done well in the past with like gold Gary Carter, and that's it. I've tried diamonds, 99s, never done well with them, but I did well with a gold and PR. But that was one card I was trying to pick it up mid draft so that I could have 3 99s at the end. I ended up picking up Higashioka like in the 8th round or something like that, so I burned another 99, or 95 plus. But that was another way I was trying to like sneak my glitchy, Corbin Burns and. There were cards like Brady Singer that people were upset about that they really wanted.
Corbin Burns you stole Burns. From me. I was waiting for him for a while. Yep. I was like, one more round, and then you took him, and I was like,
oh man.
I'm kind of happy I sniped Bauer though. I got Bauer around 6.99. I was happy with that.
That's impressive.
Really?
Yeah, that is. He snuck. The guy before me, I believe, took McKay. I was so happy about that.
Wow, that's a shock.
Yeah, dude, I thought you had a sneaky draft. Especially that Brandon Lowe card at the very end because that's I mean that's a top. I mean I love that swing. It's a great card. I thought you had a nice sneaky draft with a lot of, like you said, glitchy cards.
Appreciate it. I caught some flack in the chat for Acuna.
They
didn't like my number one pick.
They were hating that.
The PCI is not the same.
No,
if this is Hall of Fame Hall of Fame DD. I would have been questioning my own pick there, but Acuna, I've been killing the ball with him in events, so I'm hoping that translates, especially with like silvers. If it was like all diamonds, then that's one thing. But the per 9s and down the road and at the end of these games are not going to be there, so I'm hoping he does some like 6th inning damage. And he's 5 tools, so the defense was going to play regardless. One guy I had on in my eyes was 94 Edwin Rios. I think a lot of people did. I took that Teoscar early, but you got Rios in the 8th or 6th round, which I think was actually kind of a steal.
Yeah, I got him particularly, and then Olsen and Kelenic after because I like to hit lefty-lefty. I know that's weird, but I really like lefty-lefty. And so for me, I needed a guy who had the splits and he could still crush the lefties. And that's a card I had used a lot in events in the past and did really well with. So I was hoping to translate it. It did today's game. So I have high hopes for that card.
Nice. Scan, you made a trade already.
I did. I traded Matt Carpenter for Adam Dunn.
I think you won that trade. I'm going to put that out there. I definitely think
it's actually kind of funny how that went down because I actually wanted to pick that Adam Dunn. I wanted to pick him, and he got taken the round before, like earlier in that round.
Oof.
And I was like, I had a small list of people, and I was like, oh, I guess I'll try Carpenter. And decided to play ranked with the team. And I played like 2 games, and I really didn't vibe with his swing for some reason. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try to trade him. And I was about to make a trade with Thune for coins. And then I got a message and he was like, hey, so you want to make a trade for him? You want to trade Adam Dunn? I was like, yes, give me exactly who I wanted. Thank you.
Sign me up. Yeah.
So you didn't even have to ask for Adam Dunn. He
was just like,
I'm
down for, like, you want to trade Adam Dunn? I was like, yes, sir. Because like I was almost banking on getting the gold done for the bench because I absolutely rake with him. Like honestly, what I was doing for this draft, like I haven't played that much BR this year, but the 112-0 I had Canna, Winker, and Adam Dunn on the team, I think. So I picked all their boosted versions in this one. So that was really like my kind of goal with it. Like I didn't even come in with a list. I just kind of looked for players that were available as the draft went around, and I was like, you know what, I do well with this swing, so I'm going to try to get their good version. And I think it worked out for me for the most part. That's one thing. Like, I know my team definitely doesn't have a lot of the certified glitches that everyone loves, but they're just all people that I know I hit well with. So it's like I'm going to hope it translates to it.
I might have to disagree with you on that one. I think you got some absolute certified
I do have
glitches.
Some, definitely.
So Perez, if it was the 99, maybe. I don't know how I feel about that one with the power. But Kana, Marte, Gallo, Winker. I think you got some glitches in there for sure. Torres,
yeah. I had to get Glaber. That was
I wanted that one, yeah.
That was a good.
I was targeting Glaber all draft. Like Glaber is like my guy all the time. Yeah.
You know, the 96 Glaber never got taken postseason.
Yeah. I think Scan, to your point, I was actually looking at your team throughout the draft, and yeah, I thought that too. It's like it's not necessarily a lot of the sexy guys, you know what I mean? But it's a lot of those scrappy guys who can give you really good at bats, and yeah, I think you did an excellent job.
Yeah, I just want I didn't have an overly set plan, because whenever I come into any sort of fantasy draft, I just do the best drafting off my gut. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do the same for this. And I had a general idea of players. It was annoying looking for players at points, but I was just trying to look for players I knew I did well with and looked to see who people would probably want and who people like I chose 94 to Salvi because I remember hearing earlier in the year from Seabrev on Twitter that he was just an absolute glitch. And I used a little bit of 99 Salvi and I liked him, and I raked the gold Salvi. So I was like, you know what? Let me steal the 94 one, because I feel like since catchers were going at that point, he's probably worth taking now, because having a catcher at the 90-94 that can actually hit, I feel like is really valuable, because a lot of people were at that point going for the high 90s ones like Jimmy Fox and Salvador Perez and Real Muto. Yeah. So I was like, you know, I think it's my time to choose a catcher. So I was keeping my eye on him. So I played with them in ranked, and honestly, they were fun. Like, the only one I did struggle with really was Carpenter. So I really had a good time with the team. So I think it'll be a good time with them.
I'm a little surprised you struggled with Carpenter. That's a card I really, really love.
I know a lot of people do, and I didn't expect it either, but I just never had any good swings with him. Like, every swing was off for some reason. I was either really early or really late, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to try to make a move for him right away while people are making these moves and see if I can get someone. And luckily, Dunn fell on my lap, so.
You know, one guy who's available right now is Jacob Stallings. Just got dropped. And I love Jacob Stallings, but there's some part of me right now that doesn't want to make a single move till season 2, because I drafted these guys for the most part. I got pretty much exactly who I wanted, or I'm happy to have gotten. And I would feel so bad if I picked, or if I traded for somebody that would do a little worse, or it just doesn't work out with a small sample size.
Meanwhile, I just put in a bid for 96.
I just saw that.
You said he was, I was like, oh, is he?
Oh, shoot.
If I only have 2 lefties on my team, so I probably would have picked Glaber if I had the opportunity to pick a righty in that end of the draft there, but happy with Lau too. Kyle, I'm looking at your draft right now. You got Pete Alonso, 98 in the 8th round. And that reminds me that first base was kind of a weird position in my opinion. It was kind of dry in my opinion.
I can agree with that.
I looked at a lot of guys.
Did you feel bad about taking a high diamond with your first baseman, or no?
No, I mean Pete Alonso. Hold on, let me see what I'm batting with this dude. I've just used him in BR so much that I'm so comfortable with him. Like he's batting like 521. I'm cool with him. You know, I
So
don't
you pick
mind.
98 Pete Alonso in BR, not just like live series.
I usually pick the golden BR.
Okay, gotcha.
But still, I mean, the 125 each side. I mean, he's gonna be good.
Absolutely. And that's what I was thinking too. I ended up putting I have 85 Trey Mancini at first base, who I kind of used like in ESL last year. I had Mancini at my first base there. What did you guys end up doing for first base? Did you guys do secondary positions or did you do primaries?
I did secondaries.
Scan did secondary. How about you, you Cheesy?
I took Jim Tomei. He wasn't.
Tomei, okay.
Yeah, I wasn't. I actually really wanted Jeimer Candelario. That was one pick that I was looking at. I'm like, I love his swing, and I usually hit really well with him. But he actually got picked, like literally like 5 picks before me or 4 picks before.
Wow, in the 5th round. That's really interesting, actually.
Yeah, and I really liked him personally. I'm like, I really want to get him on my team. And then I don't know, Tomei was there, and I mean, he's got 125 pop against righties. I think like one, I don't know.
Tomei's amazing.
He's really underrated. That card's really underused.
Yeah, so I was like, you know what? And then, I mean, if I could prestige him in the next season, I got to do a lot of work on that. But like, if I can do that, I mean, he's going to be even better. Like, that's a lot of my guys too. I'm like, well, if I can prestige these guys too, like, why wouldn't I take them? Because it's just more of a value with that pick as well. So kind of like Eric Davis as well on that pick.
So Gravy's got a couple of prestigiables here too. Bellinger.
I think it's just
Bellinger actually. But I like your first base pick here with Matt Olson. That's a really nice value pick.
I hit almost 470 with him in ranked seasons and like 300 some odd at bats, and he was still on the board at that point. Because originally I was going to use Rios at first, and then I was going to pick Matt Carpenter for third, and then by the time it came back to me and Olson was still there, I was like, wow, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, Scan could even use a gold at first base if he wanted to.
Yeah.
With the Frank Thomas. That'll be pretty nice to have.
I was thinking about the corner infield and corner outfield were things that like I was trying to be versatile with. So like I chose Gallo so I could move him to the corner infield if I didn't get a good corner infielder. I also chose Canna because Canna you can move in the corner infield, or I mean you could even put him in the corner outfield if need be. You know, you probably don't want to do that. And I just tried to get some players off the rip that were like versatile with their positions. So in case I didn't get players I wanted, I could move them out there. Like Ketel Marte, I wanted to play at second, but was banking on in case not, I could put him in center and he wouldn't be too bad out there. And like I had a lot of like good versatility with the offense. So like I tried to leave those options open. I wanted to get Frank, the 99 Frank, that 3rd round, I think. And then I think Harsh took him early in the round. I was like, damn it, dude. Because I love that Frank. And I know he's not really used that much in starting lineup. So I was hoping he would slip by a little longer, and then he got taken. I was like, all right, well, I guess I got to go Canna now.
That's one thing I really, really loved about this draft was everyone had so many different strategies because everyone plays differently. And in a lot of ways, you can kind of get a snapshot of the kind of player you are just by looking at that team. Not Scan alone, but just
no, definitely.
You know what I mean?
And we'll show some goon lineups. Some of the best players in the league. We'll show their lineups here in a second too. But Scan real quick before we go on. Capitol Field. 14th round.
Yeah.
We had I think
early.
two stadiums taken before maybe.
Yeah, I think Date Palm and Ship It were taken by that point. And I think by the time the 14th round was coming, I was looking at my team and I was like, you know what, the pitching's starting to come together. The offense was basically done at that point. I drafted all hitters except for Mariano for like 9 straight picks nearly. So I was like, you know, I got my aces, I got my offense together. I'm going to try to choose my stadium now because my go-to right now is Date Palm. And I was just waiting for someone to steal Capital for me. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go Capital because Capital is like my go-to at the start of the year. So I took it early and played it overly safe. And obviously it potentially hurt my bullpen options later in the round, in the picks. But I think it's worth it to get that stadium.
Before we go on and look at some other people's drafts beyond our own, does anybody else have anything else they want to bring up about their own drafts or something you see from a draft within our group here?
I think the most interesting part of the draft for me was the bullpen. And once we got towards the latter end of the relievers, it was getting very nitpicky at that point. I want to know what your guys' plan was with choosing your relievers in this. Like, were you trying to wait on relievers, just choose people that you could just get the ball over the zone, or were you just like trying to get your glitchy guys right away?
Just find sinkers. Just find sinkers. That was right.
Sinkers and cutters.
Facts.
Where can I find those?
Yeah. Yep.
Which is
Definitely
so unfortunate that that's really the way you can pitch in this game. I mean, if you have a sinker or a cutter, you're automatically a tier above where anybody else could be, and it's just part of the
like
game.
you can't use a curveball, even though the pitcher in real life could be great with it. In the game, that thing's hanging.
Yeah, that actually is a big reason I lost my first game, was because I've got a pitcher with 2 curveballs. I don't know why but he's got 2 curveballs, and I decide, okay, I'll throw in here, and I've got it way below the zone, and what happens? It hangs up 2-run homer, and I lose by 1 run.
Which pitcher?
Yeah.
Jason,
sorry, go ahead.
Karen Cack. Or James, not Jason. Sorry.
Yeah.
Was that a live series, or was that like
It's the
flashback?
83. Yeah, it was the 83.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, to your point, I drafted 6 sinker ballers in a row. Actually, 5.
Damn.
2 of them were starting pitchers. 3 of them were relievers.
Yeah, because you have to. And that's why I made the trade for Bruzdars, because he's got a really fast sinker. I mean, like,
Yeah. Yeah, I was looking for sinkers, cutters, and outlier. And in my relievers, like I tried to look for like glitchy bronzes with outlier. So like that was really what I was going for at the back end, because I knew I was later. So like I tried just like take some guys like Emmanuel Class A is actually disgusting.
Yeah.
Even though he's a 68 overall. So I tried to take him earlier for my bullpen picks. For some reason, Tyler Matzik slipped down a while through all the silver lefties. So I somehow got a hold of him. And other than that, my starters, I was just looking for sinkers. I think that's about what all of us were doing. Just look for like guys with sinkers or cutters or outlier and some variation of that.
How close did you guys draft to the way you would have drafted a BR team? Because I know for me, when I draft a BR team, I sometimes, like if I get, other than like a Moustakis or something in my draft, if I get 2 glitchy hitters and like someone I like Diego Castillo, I'm picking Castillo and I'm filling out my bullpen number 1. Did you guys have a plan that was similar to BR? If it's not pitching for you guys, but was it even like a thing that was in the back of your mind?
I know, like hitting wise, like definitely BR for me. Like Dalton Varsho, Ken Griffey Jr. the 83, Trey Mancini 75, Anthony Santana the 79, and then Jerickson Profar was like my last pick, but I hit really well with him in BR. And I mean, I think the game custom league wise kind of plays on All-Star and Hall of Fame. So to me, it's like pretty similar. And I don't know. I was looking for those glitchy cards, at least on my end.
For me, I kind of went a different way. I don't play a ton of BR. I actually have been in quite a few different draft leagues in the past. So a lot of what I chose is based off my experience with almost all of these cards. Other than Honus, I've used all of these guys in leagues. So that was my biggest thing, was use guys that I've used before. Even if I've had a little bit of success with, I'm happy with it,
For BR, well, Alonso was definitely one. It was kind of a wild pick I tried out. Shane Victorino for center field. I needed someone that could field, and I think he can definitely do that. It's just the hitting. I don't know what to expect from him. But I've used him like one time, and he was hitting a lot more home runs than like singles. I expected him to be like a singles guy, but I don't know. The 56 power is somehow enough from him. And there's also Freddie. I had to.
Oh, I wanted him so bad. I want him so
I wasn't
bad.
letting... I was like, I have to draft him. I knew Scuffy was coming up, and I'm like, I think I have to try to snipe him before Scuffy takes him, because that was my only threat, I really thought, to that card. So I was like, I'm taking him.
Yeah, I know Scuffy was itching for him. He was like, oh, I thought he was going to drop to me, but he didn't. I know he was a little disappointed. He knew like you were the main contender for him.
Or I could have taken him 3rd round instead of Chris Martin, just so nobody could have him.
That would have been one of the bolder picks of the draft.
That would be
slightly bold.
Bench bat hitter.
That was like clutch when he took Ship It. And
yeah, I did not. Of all people to take Ship It, I did not expect it to be clutch. But I'm kind of happy that it was clutch of all people. that it wasn't like a top player who took shipping. It was like, oh, great. If I play them at home, now I got to play them at shipping. I got to play them at their game, and I don't want to do that.
That's true.
Yeah, I did not want ship it, no matter how far it dropped. I wanted like a medium, like an intermediate park, not like Bayfront at night, not like ship it, but like a medium.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you took one of my old ballparks.
I did.
But that's all right. I wasn't too concerned about that one. I've been messing around in multiple stadiums recently anyway, so I was like, whatever happens, happens. But let's talk a little bit about some of the early picks that we saw, just overall. So in the first round, we had Mantle Griffey, which like makes sense. How do you guys feel about the placement of DeGrom here at number 3?
I think it's early. I don't like DeGrom, man. I don't like pitching with him, and I like hitting him. I know that's not popular, but like, I don't know. I'll face him on Legend, and I'll jump at that fastball very early. Once I time it, it's not a hard card, I feel like. But I don't know. Customs is different.
You're never going to catch me passing up an opportunity at 99 Mike Trout for Jacob DeGrom.
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't have done that personally. Yeah. But I see why you go for him, honestly. I feel like if there's any pitcher off the top of my head that makes good players struggle the most, it's DeGrom.
Can we just talk about for a second how Riverboat Stadium was the number 5 pick for the Dodgers and Tavo? Riverboat Stadium was number 5.
The man knows what he wants.
I don't know. That blew my mind. And
does anybody know if Tavo plays there?
No, I didn't know anybody played there.
Yeah, Riverboat. Yeah, that's not one that I normally play at all when I played in ranked or any top players.
Well, I mean, Tavo's that good. So
yeah, Tavo's really good.
I played him in ESL once, actually. Played him in the tournament.
He's correct.
Sorry.
Funny thing is, I've seen Tavo around for a while, and I only found out he was like a goon like the last 5 months. And I remember seeing him like pop off in the tournament. I was like, what? He's like amazing at the game? Because he stopped like my chat and stuff, and he's just like a freaking beast. And I was like, oh, now I know.
A good segue into talking about some of the top players' picks. How'd you feel about? We'll talk about Tavo, Harsh, and Kreiner, and then if you guys point out any other top players you see in here, let me know. So we'll start with Tavo's draft. Gravy brought up Riverboat. He's got 97 Stevenson, who's pretty glitchy. He took 99 Devin Williams early, which, okay, Devin Williams, Paxton. I don't know. I feel like those guys get lit up.
I actually agree with that. It's an interesting decision, especially because I just feel like with everything that was still left on the board, I don't know, probably could have went better, but
might be the best. I don't know.
You're comfortable,
I think Paxton's the go-to lefty in my eyes. Like, if he's the most consistent lefty I see, just because he has the pitch mix, he has a good speed differential between the four seam and the cutter. And honestly, I feel like a lot of people, including me potentially, drafted in anticipation of facing more righties, just because there's such a little amount of good lefty starters in this game.
Yeah,
so you might as well prepare to face righties more so than lefties. So
I like
maybe
that.
think you get some lefties and throw their lineups off for a bit. That's how I would assume the strategy was. Or he also just pitches really well with them somehow.
Well, no, I think you make a good point, because he also picks up 97 Marco Gonzalez, which he then drops for 96 Cole Hamels. So yes, I do think there's this lefty connection there. It's a good call. Good eye.
And now that I mentioned that, these top players play on Legend, and maybe Devin Williams, James Paxton are lights out for him on Legend. And I mean, you got to play 10, 15 games to get to World Series when you're that good. Maybe they only have 90% of their starts on Legend.
Yeah, but
also
maybe he's in for a rude awakening when he uses those cards.
This is one thing worth noting. I found that with Paxton, he got a lot more usable with the Prestiged over the regular, and now he has to use the regular for this season, which makes me think, is he going to really want to keep him after he potentially gets roughed up with the regular Paxton? It's an interesting
I feel like for case. No, I said for Tavo, I mean, he'll just score 20,
Yeah, that's what I was saying. He's going to out-hit everyone, so I think he'll be fine.
It's going to be an adjustment period for everybody, and the best players are going to take the least amount of time to adjust. So Tavo, you expect these guys to get into the playoffs regardless, and then next year their staff's gonna get even better. So or next season, so I guess he's just trying to prepare for the future a little bit there.
Leagues are weird though. Sometimes it really just feels like anyone can win at any moment in these games.
Mm-hmm. No, I feel that. Absolutely agree with that.
I feel
He had some interesting picks, Tava. Like for someone who's a top player, like he is, he had some interesting picks that I feel like weren't maybe popular guys that he just took off the board. Like I'm looking at his team here. He took Austin Hayes.
Austin Hayes, I was going to say that too.
You don't see that card too often, but I think that card's actually glitchy.
He is definitely glitchy, I feel like. It's an interesting one.
Same with those.
87 Maeda for one of his low diamond stars, and 85 Wood, I find interesting. Because I feel like at that point of draft too, there were some potentially better low diamond starters that had the sinker cutter and all of that. And I know Maeda does have that, I think, but I don't think he's that great from every time I faced him or heard of anyone use him. So it's interesting to see the picks they went for. Adrian Morahone. I'm curious to see how it translates. He took some picks for me. He took Lou Gehrig for me. I was hoping he dropped down one round. I was gonna take him second, but that was probably getting my hopes up. And he took later in draft, he took Hosmer from me. I really wanted Hosmer for a gold bench bet, and he yoinked him from me.
Nolan Gorman's such a good card.
That's a great pick. That's a great one right there.
One of the longest tenured future star card in my ranked lineup for a long time.
Yeah.
In fact, I put him back in my lineup last month or something. Just I had to get somebody going at third base.
Speaking of Gorman, I Nolan Jones. Just he made it pretty far into that draft. He made it down 7 rounds, which I thought someone like him, I thought in terms of the low 90 players. I mean the 90 to 94s. I thought he would have been one of the top ones with Chipper, just because he has such great power and he's such a good card at the start of the year for a lot of people. I thought he would have been taken super early on. He made it down 7.
Yeah, well, I think it was 5 in the 7th row for.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, right. Limsall's draft very early was so strong. The first 5 rounds, Trout first pick, which I don't know. I would have taken Trout number 1 overall if I had that pick, probably.
Yeah,
that's a sneak of a pick right there.
Yeah.
Ernie Banks, if you can hit well with that card's disgusting. I can't. And that Tatis I mentioned earlier, he got there. Now then, he got this 294s, which I think this is really, really strong. I was mentioning I didn't think there were too many 94s that I liked. But let me look at this. So going away, coming back, going away, coming back. So he got Trammell and Jones, I think, within 8 picks of each other, if I'm doing that correctly.
Yeah.
Which Trammell is really good too. And an outfielder with speed and defense. So I thought that was really strong. But his was one that stood out to me early on. What about you guys? Did you have any other drafts that stood out to you?
I'm actually looking at Limsall right now, and he's got great hitting, but I already see the John Smoltz pick is going to be, I don't know, 99 Smoltz. I feel like not the best, and then Hal Newhouser, and then he's got 95 Betances, who I believe has just a slurve and fastball. I'm interested to see how he does with those guys because they don't get really used much, so maybe that would help. But I don't know. I don't know if his offense will compensate for it, but
yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the pitching down the stretch here, but yeah, that start the core of that team. Yeah, the hitting could really pop off.
I think my favorite draft, in my opinion, if I were looking at all these teams, the best draft for me would have been Toronto and Harsh.
I was going to say him too. Really off the rip, he had a really good start.
Oh, I mean, Tatis Jr., the 12-0 Billy Wagner, who is, you hardly ever see him because he's so rare. And then the Frank Thomas, and then, God damn it, he took Gary Sanchez from me. Man. I wanted him more than anything at catcher. That's a card that was really good for me in ranked. And a lot of people don't like Reggie Jackson, but if you can use him, it's 2 types of players. You're either really good with Reggie or you're just kind of average to, not so good. And oh man, I really think he's got probably the best team.
Yeah, I was gonna say even the picks where it seemed like he had to settle for someone were really good picks. Like he did a great job of like keeping an eye out on like who was available at the time. Like for example, Killebrew, I was keeping my eyes out on him. I was like, oh, if I need another 99, to keep an eye on Killebrew. But by the time he got him, he made it pretty deep, like 7 rounds in. And if you can get his swing on lock, that card is absolutely nasty. I mean, I think his pitching could be a potential weakness looking at the starting, but a guy like Harsh doesn't even need to worry about that because he's such a good hitter.
Speaking of pitching, I know he lost his first game today, but did you see what he did in his second game?
I did not.
No, I didn't.
He threw a 6-inning no-hitter with
my
Hyunjin Ryu.
God. That's insane.
See, now that's great. And then
who do you play?
I'm not sure. But yeah, he 6 innings, he got the Mercy 10-0. Hyunjin Ryu on the bump.
I think that's something you'll try to see out of him, that he's going to play for the Mercy. He's just going to go to the pen early. Play for the Mercy. Because like once you get deep in the bullpen, like they're solid. Like he's got like somewhat glitchy guys, but I think some guys could potentially get rocked if he has to go to them too soon. Like he had to go to the Johnny Venters for a lefty at the back end, who's a glitchy for a common, but that PCI is going to be massive. A lot of people are going to be able to hit him.
I think the Stanek card's interesting because I think Stanek has been one of the worst relievers for his like as good as he might look on paper in certain ways, like with velo and stuff like that in BR. Like I haven't drafted him in like 2 years because when I used him he would have like 4 times higher in ERA than everybody else. But you know, Diamond card maybe that card's pretty good. I haven't seen it.
I was the same way with Stanek. I definitely agree with that. So
a couple of you guys like Harsh's draft. Let's go into Kreiner's real quick as we're talking about goons. I think Larry Walker is very similar to what you were saying about Reggie Jackson. That some people love him, there's some people hate him, and there's nothing in between. But he took that Walker to Sheffield early on, and I think Kreiner felt like these two were kind of steals to him. Like he wasn't even sure if he would get Sheffield in the second round, which he was like, people thought he was going to take him in the first round. So that was pretty crazy in my opinion. But he didn't end up going for like Bellinger or anything like that.
Yeah, I was to say I was shocked that he didn't choose Bellinger there.
Yeah,
like I thought, like I know Larry Walker's very good, but I thought Bellinger was like that good that you would take him over Larry Walker. Even like if you did hit really well with Walker, Bellinger is just like that good of a hitter for me at least. Where it's like I would have taken him anytime he was on the board, no matter who else was available.
Yeah, same. I think what you're seeing there is a top 10 player who knows exactly how good he is and has cards that, you know, he used Larry Walker. You got to think too, right? I mean, you use Larry Walker for 75% of the year. I mean, it's about as comfortable as you're going to get with a guy. And same with Gary Sheffield. This is a team, when you just look it up and down, these are a lot of guys that you just know he's super comfortable with and he's going to dominate. It is what he's just going to dominate.
Also interesting, Corey Kluber down to the 3rd round is actually kind of interesting to me.
There's like a stigma around him. It feels like, you know, like you almost, you picked Kluber. Oh, you know what I mean?
No, I feel that. I like, for me, if I had a chance to pick him, like he's easily my best pitcher still.
Oh yeah, same. You know, I mean,
like,
yes.
Like it's you could tell Kreiner just like he just like had his guys that he was going for. He also got a couple now nationals on there. He's got Carter Keyboom on there. I know he was going for his Drupal later on in the draft. He looked like he had he got glitchy Kenny Lofton too. Honestly, I want to ask you guys this. I think this is a good conversation. Like, what do you think? Like, if you had to swap with your team with one person, who would be that one person's team you would feel the most comfortable taking over their team with?
That's a good question.
Because I'm looking at Kreiner's team. And honestly, he might be one of those I would swap for, looking at a lot of his players.
Grazer 100%.
If
you know, you know.
I hate everything about that team. I hate everything about that. I don't even want to talk about
MVP Chadwick Trump.
Oh boy.
I think for me it's Toronto. That's a team I know I would absolutely crush with and be really confident, because like that Tom Glavine, that was a long time ranked season pitcher for me, because I was always a budget guy. I'm not somebody who just bakes a million stubs like everyone else. He went a long time for me, so yeah, I would probably pick Toronto.
I like
about
Harsh's squad.
Yeah,
I like Harsh's squad.
Yeah, I'm trying to take another look to make sure I didn't miss anyone.
What about you, Kyle? What squad would you swap out with?
I don't know. I'm looking around.
Kyle's like, man, I would swap out with Kyle.
That dude Kyle actually had a sick draft. You know what? I would love to swap with him if I had to.
I actually think Sporer had a pretty good draft too. I mean, I think his team's kind of underrated.
He did.
He had some of the most number of steals, I think, towards the end of the draft.
Mm-hmm.
Towards the end, he had a great end of the draft.
End,
I saw middle end of the draft. He did pretty well. I took a couple picks from him towards the end.
I'm not super thrilled with the Mondesi number 2 pick. I know a lot of people really like him, but I'm not as high on him as some others.
I agree with that.
And
then J Ram.
Oh, that's fine.
That's the finest one.
Yeah.
He was set on J Ram.
Yeah, he was.
Wanted the monthly one, and then he was like, "Oh, I'll settle for the finest one."
He was. Yeah, he was.
He has an interesting one because like he has players that are good, but like you don't see that many people use other than like Mondesi. I feel like Mondesi and Hershiser. I feel like a lot of those guys he picked in that front end of the draft are like maybe people used a little bit at some point, but they were never popular cards other than maybe Zobrist.
What about you, DudeFood? Who would you swap with?
And I've scrolled across the whole thing, and every team there's like 2 or 3 guys that I just am not interested in.
Mm-hmm.
Hale, I think, is one of them. One of the ones I might have been interested in taking. I don't love the pitching, but the hitters, I think I could have. Like some of those guys, like Kyle Lewis, I was actually going to take number 1 in my first round.
Wow, that would have been.
Ooh.
Yeah. Him and 99 Springer, 2 guys that I was actually on my list. I had them like kind of over Acuna, and then the last second I was like, nah, I'm taking Acuna. I don't regret it, but I think I'll Hale now. I think I like his lineup. Amazing.
I was the same too, actually.
I know a couple people were in, like we were talking about the draft during streams, and a couple of people were talking about his draft. And I kind of like that one. I like Ming's draft. He took a couple of cards from me, actually. The Giambi I was actually going to take in that round. 93 Giambi. A lot of those cards I do like. A couple of them I'm not super interested in. And I think the last one was I'm Red. I think his
Red
might have been the number
one.
1 for me.
He had a solid squad. I watched him play with them today, and he was putting a lot of bats on the ball, even against the knuckleballers.
Yeah.
I think
so he brought him out, huh?
Yeah, he brought out both Right and Fearband.
Dang.
Oh wait, really?
Yeah, he brought both of them out in the game. He pulled out all this.
Oh jeez.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would do Scuffy. I looked at it. He's got Chipper's really good. That 97 Carlson. I love that. Any Carlson, even the bronze. Like, yeah, any Carlson's good. Feller's the only one that I'm not too sure about because he can't really locate, but maybe people don't see him often. Maybe he'll be effective. Cole Hamels is a good pick. Jazz Chisholm's a really good lefty, 94. I was thinking about taking him, but ended up going Hanley. But yeah, I'd do him. He's got like Tim Hill, Gallo. Yeah, it's a good team.
I was gonna say, I feel like Scuffy had a team that like he had a draft in mind of players he wanted, and he stuck to that very hard.
Yeah.
And like he got a lot of like the lower mid diamonds that are somewhat popular, but like he probably just rakes with. He did a good job of choosing like Zanino, the 87 Pujols. I think he definitely had an underrated draft in the grand scheme of things. I don't think other than like some of these guys aren't the most popular, but he was set on them and he got them. So I bet you he did well. I know he had one game he mercied today. He played 3 games, I think, today, if I saw correctly. He was in grind mode.
Yeah, I think I got a game scheduled against him this weekend, so we'll see.
Yeah, he won one.
I might get the back of his rotation.
Probably. That's what it looks like. He had one game where it was an absolute shootout. He won one game 12-1. I thought there was a shootout he had. I may have gotten
9-8 versus Chas. Chas, yeah, 9-8.
Yeah, Harsh and Tavo had a shootout. That's the one that I saw. 14-10. That one was.
Yeah, I think the one pick that saved the draft for some of us. Well, Saved us from the wrath of Kreiner. Cheesy.
Oh,
Ray picked. Who did you pick? What happened there? What was the story?
Is it the Tristan McKenzie one?
Yeah.
It might have been. I think he had to take like Votto or somebody.
Oh right, the snipe pick.
Yeah.
Yeah. What happened was Kreiner was trying to choose between like all the pitchers, and he kept on like giving bronzes, and they were like, "You need a 90 to 94, Kreiner." And then right as he went to type in Tristan McKenzie, you typed in your pick because he was over the time, and then
I felt so like I was just like sitting there and like I actually got on my PS4 because I'm like I didn't have a actual, I don't know, I should have looked through the spreadsheet a little bit more, but I didn't have like a spreadsheet of like actual like filtered out like 90 to 94 pitchers left.
I did that too.
And so yeah, I went onto there. And I'm like, I can't find any, like literally almost every one of them were taken because I totally forgot. I literally forgot to get another 994. I was like, oh shoot, I got to grab another one. And then I saw Tristan McKenzie, which I don't even know how good he's gonna be. Like, he doesn't really throw that hard, honestly. He had the best attributes out of all the other ones. Like, I would have got like an 88. It was someone crappy. I was like, I'm not gonna take them. So I'm like, I'm just gonna take Tristan McKenzie and go from there.
Yeah,
That's fair.
I think that kind of messed up Kreiner at the end. I remember he was really in his head about it after that.
Yeah.
For the rest of the draft, I think I got Votto and Olerud for Diamonds, which both play first, right? Does Olerud play outfield?
No, they both play first only, I think.
Oh man.
So I think one of them is going to be a bench bat for him. Honestly, he might even have been banking to play a freaking silver or bronze out there anyway if he has it. So
I mean,
I wouldn't be entirely shocked by that.
I think he'll probably end up dropping him and get somebody else, but
he has Alonso to play at first.
Oh.
So he could play Gold Alonso out there.
It really did. After those first few rounds, some people in chat were saying, like, how did you guys let Kreiner do this? I honestly think that him taking the stadium, someone, I think Scuffy or Spore said, you know, he's trying to be nice and give us a chance, which I was like, aha, that's kind of funny. But then, like, you kind of look at it, and then he started taking all these silvers, and he, like, really wanted silvers. So I don't know. There might be something to that. He might have actually try to give us a chance there.
No, I really think he lost track at some point. Because I remember at the latter part of the draft, Scuffy was like, "Oh, can someone DM Kreiner and let him know he's picking?" Yeah. I think he was like in and out doing something. I feel like, so he must have just like lost track at some point. And I think some of those last couple picks for him, he waited a while to pick his diamonds, and you could see some of the diamonds he had a choice at aren't the best, but also aren't the worst. But at that back end, it was like. Yeah, I think he probably had he thought he was going to have to keep on scrapping for bronzes at that point. So maybe he was just like in his head about that. It's definitely interesting how his draft went.
The struggles of being a top 10 player, huh?
What do you guys think is going to happen with playoffs? Who's going to make it in? If there's any like low key people because there's a lot of people in here that I actually didn't know.
Same.
And who do you think is kind of low key that kind of either like from your own community that maybe other people don't know, or just what do you guys think for playoffs upcoming? What should we look out for?
I have one off the rip from what I watched commentating today. I didn't know him personally, but I'm Red. Actually, he's gone 12-0 10 times.
Oh shoot!
Wow. And he had the banner, and he's got a pretty solid squad draft together. And when he played against Grazer today, like it wasn't like the most crazy game that he put up, but he was dominating on the mound, and he put up 9 runs at Wrigley. I think over 9 runs, and he looked really good. I feel like he's someone that if we all don't know him, I feel like he's someone that could easily slide into playoffs. I had no idea he was like that good of a player off of my knowledge of anything.
And is it 8 from each league going to the playoffs?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's what they said.
And then there's gonna be like a lower bracket. So if you didn't make playoffs, you'll still have your own playoffs.
Yeah,
you just won't win a belt, right? But you'll play for coins.
It will be like for coins or like a pick or something. They said.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
True. So, I didn't even notice that. That's amazing.
Yeah, I like that idea a ton. I think I forgot who mentioned it.
Scuffy did.
Scuffy did. I thought. Yeah.
And it's brilliant because, yeah, I mean, one of the biggest challenges, I've been in a ton of leagues. The biggest challenges is during playoffs because you tend to lose interest from guys who aren't in it, right? And so if you give them something to play for, a meaningful games, it just keeps the engagement at a really high. These guys are running a fantastic league. They really are.
did. I've learned from custom league experience. I know, DudeFood, you've done some custom leagues too, that it can get crazy and it's a lot to manage. And what these guys are doing with this is absolutely insane. Like nothing but a tip of the cap to all these dudes.
Mm-hmm. My dark horse pick is Patty Boy, and it's really just after playing him. There are guys who just have that will to win stat inside of them. You know what I mean? He's one of those guys that just felt like when I was playing him, he just really wouldn't give up. He never like really took his foot off the pedal. And it was a big reason because there were a few moments where I sort of did take my foot off the pedal and he was, you know, he would step in front, you know, so he's my dark horse pick.
I actually really like DudeFood. I mean, it's like me and DudeFood have played a ton. Actually, we played actually a ton. Like we played in ESL finals together. Like,
oh wow.
I mean, we've played a ton together. Actually, and I was talking with, I don't know who it was the other day. I'm like, I feel like DudeFood doesn't get the recognition that he deserves. Like,
yeah, you were talking. I think
you got
Fooney that night. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
You're
I was
talking
like,
to us too.
I was talking. Yeah, it was. Yeah,
we just talked about it. Then we're like, DudeFood is like you might not give yourself the credit for this, but like, if there's anyone in the community that is always competing in any sort of event, tournament, anything, it's you, and you always like perform in them. Yeah. Like you never go down easy, and you're easy, and like you had definitely a good draft too. So like I definitely like that too.
Consistency.
Well, I appreciate that.
It is.
I go into every matchup thinking I'm gonna win. If I'm going into a rank matchup, I don't care. Unless I'm playing someone in the top 10, literally. Which is funny. I said this one time, just a random rank game on Hall of Fame. I was like, I don't care who I'm playing. If I go up against anybody that's not a top 10 player, like I expect to win the game. Top 50, fine. Top 10, maybe not. And then literally I mash up with like Walder, like very next game in ranked seasons.
That's funny.
But I appreciate that. I expect to make the playoffs. We'll see. I think in Scans League, I've got a tough division. We got some goons in there, including Kyle. So I don't know about that one. But in here, we'll see. A lot of unexpected unknowns. The draft can pull you so many different ways. But I appreciate that. I appreciate that pick. I hope we'll make it in. Ray, man. Ray has had that chip on the shoulder since ESL. We matched up in BR like a week or two ago. He walked me off. I'm excited
for that.
Played in Scans League, walked me off.
Oh no!
Oh man, you know what happened the day? Wait, no, actually, it was the day before. I busted out my PS4 for these leagues, by the way. I had the PS5.
Really?
I cannot hit on PS5.
Yeah,
I've been playing strictly BR.
That's surprising.
And I had to pull the PS4 out of the thing, and I have no regrets. I've been hitting well since it came back, but
damn,
I'm taking this seriously for sure.
You know who I'm keeping my eyes out on as well? Thuney, based on how he's done the Sandlot League so far as well. He seems like he's been competing hard. And like I know, especially he hasn't done the most custom leagues and such, so I feel like he's gonna go in harder than anyone in terms of like the amount of drive he's gonna put into it. And look at his draft; he had a pretty good draft too. Like he was talking to me the other day. He was like, "I really want to trade Jimmy Rollins, I think," and I'm like, "I don't want that 91 Jimmy Rollins." So like he had a couple questionable picks in his eyes, but I think he had a pretty well-rounded draft and. I think he's going to go out there and compete his heart out. So I think that he's one to keep an eye out on too, in terms of like a sleeper pick.
He had a great first game. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
I might have picked him as well. Well, I know a couple of you guys said me, but I mean, I'm assuming all four of you guys are making it into the playoffs. That's my assumption. We'll see what happens, but I will off the bat say you guys for sure. Yeah, there's so many names that I just don't know. That I don't know if it would be silly to pick them or silly not to pick them. But I'd love to see like Clutch make the playoffs.
I would love to see Clutch. He can like too.
Yeah, absolutely.
He played a great game against Swanee today in Sandlot. It was like a 1-run. It was like tied up until like the 4th, I think, and it was a 1-run game up until the 6th, I think. He was competing out there. I want to keep an eye on him. I'm scared to play Kreiner again because I played him in a tournament, Legend tournament earlier this year, and I scrapped out a win against him. Like I robbed the Grand Slam against him in like late game, and then I end up winning by 1. So I know I'm gonna play him again. He's gonna absolutely destroy me because of that. So there are a couple games I'm looking at where it's like, you know what? I'm just gonna take my L. But if I can win every other one, I'm feeling good.
I had a lot of confidence coming into this league, and then I lost my first game, and now and now I'm questioning everything.
You got time.
Yeah, there's plenty of time to make it up, honestly. The thing that you learn with custom leagues is that you have your hot and your cold spurs. And
I was nervous. Like I hadn't played like I don't know. I view these really competitively, and I hadn't played a really competitive game since ESL. And I don't know. It was nice. It was really nice. It's definitely lit a fire for me for sure.
It'll be cool to see when they add the new players to the game down the road.
Yeah,
to see how that'll affect things.
Hopefully
we get good enough players. I know Otani's been the biggest nuke they've dropped in a while now, so hopefully
I was happy to trade coins away so he could Philly could go get Bruistar or excuse me, I'm trying to say Otani.
Mm-hmm. So, that's a great trade. That's one you're gonna be looking back on, I feel like.
I'm hoping so. I took a gamble on that because I didn't have another pitcher, and I needed that one more good arm, but we'll see. You guys are all really freaking good.
I don't think anybody even bothered looking at Richie Ashburn.
No,
they're just like just Otani, right?
Definitely.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
What about Enos Slaughter, dude? Why didn't he get drafted?
Stop it! Stop.
Those are terrible.
Did he get drafted?
I don't think so.
I hope not.
I hope nobody even has him on their team.
Yeah.
Well, no, nobody has him. Yeah.
Like for the stubs, like the stubs are way more worth it than keeping him unless you have a reason to have him. In my eyes.
All right, well, that'll do it for our conversation. Thank you guys so much for coming on. I had a great time. We're talking about maybe doing another one at some other point. Before I let these guys go, first of all, thank you again. But let's go around the horn and tell us where we can find you guys. So start off with Gravy. Where can we find you? Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, everything.
Yeah, Twitch and YouTube is MisterGraavy, 2 A's and Gravy, and Twitter is at GravyGames1.
So my name is just RayCheesy21. Literally everything: Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, just all RayCheesy21.
Are you on the talk?
Oh yeah, TikTok.
Oh yeah. Ray been at it, bro.
Oh yeah,
been on the talk.
Throw TikTok in there too. Same thing. One for everything.
Yeah. Everywhere TheScann. 2 N's. Don't forget the second N. That's a must. On Instagram, there's an underscore between the and TheScann, so that's a little bit annoying. But everything else, just TheScann, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, everywhere.
Yeah, Twitch is just Kyle23 Gaming. YouTube is just Kyle23, and then Twitter is Kyle23YT.
Sounds good. And I'll definitely have those links for you guys in the description, so you don't have to remember it. Make sure you click on all of them. Follow them everywhere. Once again, thank you guys for being on. Everybody watching, if you enjoy this content, make sure you subscribe here on YouTube. Wherever you find these guys, wherever you come across them, make sure to check them out as well. Great people. Glad to be friends with all of them in the community and many more in these leagues and Scans League as well. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you next time. Peace.